Hey everyone, and welcome to Ginger Prime. My name's Brian, and if you're a returning subscriber, welcome back, Soul Nation. That's what you get for subscribing. An additional greeting at the start of my videos. As you guys have pretty much overwhelmingly stated, you really enjoyed my last vlog, and today's subject I think is something that I cannot shake, and so I just needed to sit down and share my thoughts and my emotions, and full disclosure, not looking for any affirmation, because this is a serious topic, because we are all living in unfortunately serious times, and hopefully I could bring a little bit of levity, or if nothing else, help answer this question for somebody in the future if they're ever curious about what is happening here in 2020. So, for historical purposes, the subject of today's vlog is parenting in a pandemic, because I can't seem to shake the question, what was it like for previous generations that went through something so big and so massive? And I have no answers. And I think that's one of the things that's really scary as a parent, is the fear of messing up your kids. And I think naturally, if like another parent told me that, I would say just the fact that you're worried about messing up your kids shows you care, and and that's all well and good, and it does, and that's caring for your children total plus in my book. But I want to kind of talk about some of my experiences, obviously here with 2020, what we've been doing, and obviously this all relates to gaming in some way, because I have to say, first and foremost, outside of being a parent, as a gamer, my life hasn't really been impacted. Delays happen, of course, within the industry, but I wasn't going to bars. I wasn't going to the movies. I wasn't out and about, because as a gamer dad, as a gamer parent, those things aren't happening all the time, very rarely and frequently, because like, honestly, who's got the money for a babysitter? For those of you who have that and have that relationship with somebody that you pay to watch your children, tip of the hat. I hope that I can get there someday. That's my definition of success. Or, hear me out here, or eventually my kids get old enough to where they can watch themselves. So life goals in that way. But anyway, that part hasn't been impacted. But here's what I've been seeing within my kids. And again, as always, if you guys are seeing the same thing, I'm curious. If you guys aren't, what are you doing? Please help give advice. Always wanting to know, always open for like that discussion to try new things and hopefully not F up our kids. So obviously, washing your hands, right? Like, that's a big thing. We've started doing the song. We're really trying to get the kids involved in washing your hands, washing a mask. Right now, I think I'm very lucky in terms that the majority of my kids are young. They really don't know what's going on. Their world really hasn't been impacted because they weren't out and about. They weren't doing anything. I guess as an adult would define productive, but they've been playing and being kids, and that's actually what I want them doing. My oldest, who's 6 now, obviously been impacted, was in kindergarten, had to stop that. Now we're doing remote schooling. For her, the remote schooling isn't like a shock. It's not like she's been in 3rd grade or 4th grade or 5th grade to where there is this expectation of what happens in a given year. So thankfully, there's not like this big, pull the rug out from under your feet. But obviously with the washing, I don't know if we went too far, because I'm starting to see, or worry that I'm starting to see, that she might be becoming a germaphobe. And germs have good things. There's good bacteria, bad bacteria. And so trying to explain that obviously to a 6-year-old, when especially at the start of this whole thing, it was very diligent on washing your hands, wearing a mask, etc., etc., etc. So a part of me as a parent, and a thing that really pisses me off, and I mean really pisses me off, especially when you see, and again, this might just turn into a rant against Twitter in and of itself, which is so divorced from reality. It'd be comical if it wasn't so heartbreaking and wrenching. And anyway, stay off Twitter, kids. It's not really a good place to be, unless you're promoting something. That's really what I feel Twitter is. It's flexing, and I'm sorry for my part in it. Anyway, long story short, I see like non-parents talking about how parents hate their kids because of X, Y, and Z. And it's like, it's not simple. I wish life was simple. Social media tries to put things in boxes and make things simple, and just says this is how it is for every case and purpose. And I really try, and I'm not perfect at it. This isn't me saying, haha, Ginger Prime, we do it right. And it's not the case, because I'm a human being. I'm imperfect. I'm going to fail. But I want to have that intent, like with my kids and with social media, and the whole responsibility is to not overgeneralize ideas, especially ideas that maybe I'm just a bystander on, right? You know, like if there was something that it's like that I'm, you know, invested in, that I have a lot of working knowledge of, I try to get a wide understanding of like different ideas and concepts. So I also, on the flip side, if I was an expert on something, that I don't have an echo chamber, that it's like only feeding me, you know, you're right, that's correct, there's no other way. And me touching my head is just like all the different ideas, you know, coming at you. So there's a flip side to it, is that we shouldn't overgeneralize, but we shouldn't also, you know, cut out other information. And that's what has been the most frustrating thing as a parent right now, is just how much information is out there. And the cynic in me, which exists, I'm an optimist, you know, almost to a fault. And I like that about myself. I like the fact that I can look at things in a positive way, and I can see the good in things in a positive way. In fact, as a husband, hopefully my wife would agree that whenever there's an argument, that it's not 100% one-sided. I've never believed, and never is not a correct word because, you know, that's an absolute. So let's say more than often I've believed that, and especially in a marriage, in an argument, there's definitely a fault on both sides, and it could vary by percentages, right? And so it's like I've always tried to look at, like, same thing when I raid. Like I said, this is a gaming blogging channel. You know, when the raid fails, I try to look at myself, because to ask what I could have done better, because it's a team effort. And I think that is with 10 years plus marriage right now, hopefully another 40 or 50 or 60 more. Hopefully that's going to be something when somebody asks me, like, what's the success for marriage? And be like, look at yourself and find the fault, and so that you can find the strength to ask for forgiveness. You know, ask for forgiveness for something specific, not I'm sorry that you're offended. And I've done that. I suck as a husband in that case. I have failed my wife in that regards when I'm like, I'm sorry, you're offended. I am above reproach. Can't even say reproach. I was going to say rapport. That makes no sense. So, obviously, like I said with Maddie, she's getting into like the germaphobe thing, and I would hate it. Would hurt my heart so much if my overreaction, or like maybe it was appropriate response to this whole situation, is to set her up for this fear of the world, and how we exist, and how our bodies function, especially when healthy. Like, germs shouldn't be feared; they should be understood as best as possible. Then at the same time, you know, like with her, like with other kids right now, it's been fairly low key. I will say, and I don't know if anybody's interested in this aspect, but I feel like I just don't have things to go to, birthday parties and all that stuff, which seem to kind of mark the calendar. And so it does feel, and I don't know if anybody feels this way, like we're in a perpetual state of Groundhog's Day. And I don't know how I feel about that. Like, we've been trying to celebrate, especially like with the kids. We have a lot of summer birthdays, and tomorrow actually is my oldest son's birthday. Mikey, happy birthday, bud. Maybe you're watching this one day in the future. I love you. Yeah, he's turning 2, and he is just a spitfire, and just so funny. It's just so funny to watch him. And so, like, for him, it's not that impactful. For the girls, it is impactful because they are really always excited about birthdays. And that ends up being something that I remember used to be kind of a bigger thing. And now, and I guess rightfully so, it's just not. But the emotional side, how I feel about all of this, is just survival. You know, I think if that's, you know, just me venting, and welcome to my personal therapy session of talking about gaming and parenting issues within the world of YouTube. It's a little exhausting, and it's a little, you know, I'm concerned. I'm always concerned. I'm trying not to be a helicopter parent, but at the same time, just trying to survive. You know, if you guys weren't aware, like back in the spring, I ended up pretty much almost losing my whole business as an independent engineer. Thankfully, that's all come back. But one of the things that is always on the table, especially being independent, is that all that can go away. And it did, and it came back, and it could go away again. And that's kind of where we're talking about this a little bit today on the live stream, was it's kind of where the pricing of the next generation consoles really come into play. Like at some point, there's a price point where unless I get some kind of long-term contract that I'm going to be working, it's just not worth the risk to spend a lot of money on something that I can get by without until there's more security in the world. And that's the thing what I miss the most. Despite its boringness, it's the illusion of security, the illusion of safety. It's kind of that ignorance that, that I now look back on and say, that's why as a parent, it's better to sacrifice what I want for my kids, because, I mean, what line of defense do they have, in all this? So anyway, wish me luck. I wish you out there, parents, luck on the front line of a pandemic and what it's like. I'm sure other generations have had their challenges, obviously like with wars and things like that. But it's an interesting challenge that we're faced with right now. And I'd love to know if you guys have any tips, thoughts, tricks, advice. I'm always game for that, especially if it can help make me a better dad, a better human being. Anyway, thanks so much for listening to this, watching this. Hopefully you've enjoyed some of it and found any of it interesting. If you did, let me know. If you feel like it earns it, like button. If it feels like it sucks and all that, you got the down button as well. And if you want to come back for more, again, I don't intend this to be the main content on the channel. But maybe once every couple of weeks, sit down and talk to you guys about something. So if you got anything you want me to talk about as well, put subjects and stuff like that in the comments, or hit me up on Twitter and stuff like that. Or maybe not Twitter. Anyway, guys, I love you. I love your faces. Thanks for being here. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you in my next video. But until then, take care. This video is sponsored by me, Ginger Prime. Hopefully you'll check out my podcast channel, Ginger Gaming Radio, which we have lots of guests, lots of great conversations, and even more highlights. Links are in the description below. Let me know what you think. Thanks.